suck, son!
Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Well, you can tell everybody. Yeah, you can tell everybody. Go ahead and tell everybody. I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
Oh, sorry, I was just in the zone. Much like musicians and surgeons or professional basketball players, it's important for investors to cancel out the noise and avoid distractions. Before investing in a company, you need to carefully think out what your investment thesis is. An investment thesis is basically a clear and simple description of three variables: why you own the company, what you expect to happen, and what you as an investor see that others don't see. Basically, it's your 140-character version of why you think you're smarter than the market. Famous investor Martin Whitman said it best. He said, "Based on my own personal experience as an investor, rarely do more than 3 or 4 variables really count. Everything else is just noise." A strong investment thesis will act as an anchor for the rough waters that lay ahead. If we know why we own a particular stock, then we won't panic when the turbulence inevitably occurs. I learned the power of an investment thesis early on in my investment career. In 2007, we came across a company from South Korea that made online video games. Their existing games had a remarkably sticky user base, paying subscription fees every month. The games had 2 powerful things that we look for in great companies: a network effect, which meant that the more kids that played the game, the more attractive the game became for others. And second, high switching costs. When someone had invested years and leveling up their character and amassing virtual items, they were unlikely to switch to go play another game. However, the video game industry is unpredictable and hit or miss at best. So we wrote an investment thesis for the company. 1, the existing games we thought would keep their user base. 2, we knew that it was a hit or miss industry, but eventually they would have a hit. And 3, the current stock price was cheap. Shortly after buying the stock, the company launched a big new game. Here it was. The game had all the makings of a blockbuster: substantial buzz in the gaming community, a legendary lead developer, 3 full years of development, a huge marketing budget, and really positive reviews. The game hit the shelves, and then it miraculously flopped. It just simply didn't sell, and we watched the stock price fall from the company by nearly 50% in a month. Did I feel sick to my stomach? Absolutely. I stumbled back to the drawing board, looked at my investment thesis, and said, was that investment thesis still intact? 1, did the company still have a sticky, loyal user base? Yes. Was the development team still likely to have a hit at some point in the future? Yes. Was the stock cheap? Yes, even more so than before. That meant that all the despair in the market was actually just noise. In 2008, the company launched another game. This time the expectations were even higher. The launch was timed for the holiday season and was even more highly regarded than the previous launch. The game hit the shelves, and lo and behold, another flop. The stock price plummeted by another 40%. Our clients began to notice the poor performance. Most every other investor sold, but we actually had the audacity to add to our position. Not one thing had changed from the original investment thesis, except for the stock price, which looked a whole lot more attractive now than it ever had. Some may call this sticking to your guns. Some may call this just being flat out stubborn. Investors like to call this high conviction. Despite what you call it, our conviction came from having a clearly defined investment thesis, giving us the ability to tune out the noise. The following year, the company launched another game that was largely ignored by the market because it was more of a niche game for an Asian audience. Everyone's expectations were rock bottom after the previous failures. The game was released, and it turned out to be one of the best-selling video games of all time in Korea, and then later went on to be a blockbuster hit in China. The stock price shot through the roof. 2 years later, the company followed it up with another successful game launch, and the stock re-rated even higher. From our initial investment, we had now made over a 400% return. Our clients were dancing in the aisles. I have no doubt that if we hadn't written those 3 simple bullet points from the very beginning, we would have sold our shares when the times got rough. Without the rock-solid conviction of why we owned it, we would have followed the herd, cut our losses, but thank heavens we didn't. So take the time with your investment thesis. Be confident in your research. Be confident in your stocks and be confident in yourself. When you have a clear investment thesis, you can strip out all of the noise.